packs of toys, yeah, we break through. Unbox the fire, showcase the find. Collectors worldwide, all one of a kind. ToyLeet, we set the pace. Elite with the heat in this plastic race. ToyLeet, not just a name, we're the culture, the vibe, the collecting flame. Click, snap, pose, it's more than display. We stack with style, redefining play. Custom builds, epic drops, from stream to shelf, we never stop. ToyLeet, it's not just toys, it's legacy we stack. ToyLeet's the movement, and we're never looking back.
Well, we went live and somehow Ed got dropped. So we'll give him a second to join back in. He was just here. I swear it to be true. Maybe he'll come back. We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to hit up the comments real quick. Menzoza, what's up, brother? How's it going, Teflon? A Punk with Toys, what's up, brother? And then we got TNT Terrence over here. How's it going, brother? And yeah, nobody puts Ed in the corner, but he somehow is not here. So right now I am solo. So yeah, gonna check on him and see what's going on. I wasn't planning to go at this alone tonight, but while we're waiting for Ed to come back, I'm gonna go ahead and go to me and just focus on me. Well, me? Maybe? Nope. We'll go, I guess, me, until Ed gets back. So, what I was saying, you know, before, as you can see behind me in the group here, had some technical difficulties as we were launching off. Looks like Ed got bumped. He should be joining back here in a second. Send him a text message. But I've been relocating to the finished basement here for the studio. You guys can kind of see in a backdrop that there's a bunch of stuff. It is very messy right now, as I'm still in flux of getting everything organized so that I can more effectively print things in the Hexastack factory on the other side of this wall behind my screen here. But behind me you can see where I'll be displaying all of my fun stuff, and you can still kind of see that there's a ceiling gap there. But for myself, man, it's been a few weeks I guess. Haven't been back since LegionsCon. So tonight we're actually going to be focusing on that as our main topic, which is talking about LegionsCon and like, was it worth the hype? Because I made my first trip down there. That was fun. We'll go into that a little bit more in detail as we get into the show. But for those that are new and just joining in, we oftentimes will get together. We talk plastic passion. What we will do is we'll talk about some of our gets, ToyLeet or toilet, meaning does the figure go in the dumpster, or does it get put on the shelf in the back? So we will go over those. We always do a shout out from the crick, which Ed is the true guy behind that. He loves to shout folks out, and that's kind of a carry back from his origination of this stream with his son Luke and what they were doing. So we will shout somebody out from the crick every week. And then additionally, what we'll do is we'll have a main topic and we'll talk about the weekly news. If you want to focus on things like mainstream Mattel, Hasbro, some of those bigger brand products that are put out there on the shelves in your Targets and Walmarts. This isn't the show. We like to focus on the independent toys and really, play in that space, as that's really, where we live. So we'll be doing that. And then we'll talk about weekly news around all those. If you want the mainstream guys, go back to Monday nights where A Punk with Toys streams. He always does his thing over there, and he really dives into all of the mainstream products and things that are on that space. And then we always dive into a main topic every week. And as I already alluded to, this week we will be talking about, is LegionsCon worth the hype? There's always a ton of hype about LegionsCon since I've been following Four Horsemen, Mythic Legions, and Cosmic, and everything else that they do. Their LegionsCon event it's more than just a toy show. Those 2 days, it's G-Con, it's Intern for a Day, it's an event. But we'll cover into that and determine if it's worth all the hype. Some people might be let down from my opinion. Some people might agree with me. We'll see. And Ed'll hopefully be back in time to dive into that a little bit more. Just checking my messages here. Yeah, give me 1 second. Now, and keep pushing through. So first, let's go to the chat real quick. I know we covered a few folks already. So we've got Matthew Madison here. Thanks for joining, brother. We've got Brian, Endless Fables, joining in. What's up, brother? Got some in-talk in between a few folks. Oh, and then we've got our buddy Ostradamus Toys, who conveniently bailed on the clubhouse this past Saturday night, as I was, actually planning on asking for the link. But this Saturday sounds like a good time to hang out and play with some toys, as I'm putting together the office and going to be, opening and unboxing some fun stuff to play with. Some stuff I may have gotten from LegionsCon. And then we've got Teflon's additional talking, and yes, Travis has a ton of poor taste. A Punk with Toys, this one hurts a little bit. I don't know where Ed is. I tried calling him. He was on the stream right as I went live. He was in there, told him we wasn't going to mute us and we would just kick back over. But he's unfortunately not, joining back with us right now. So I'm hoping he's good. I have sent him a text and tried to call him. Not sure what's going on. Hopefully he will be joining back. And no, Teflon, I did not do anything to him. I fully expect him to join back as soon as maybe the power comes back on or the internet's working. Not exactly sure what he's going on. I didn't bail on my show last week. That's hoopla. That's hoopla. No, yes, I was relocating the office last week, Adam, and it was in the midst of getting things together. Still working on that, as it's been a large task walking up 2 flights of stairs and all of the crap. I don't know how I used to fit I don't know how I fit all of my stuff in the 9.5 foot by 9.5 foot office that I used to have. But I'm able to definitely expand it out now. It is much more cozy down here for sure. A little bit cooler, but we'll see. And then, you want to send that link over the weekend? I definitely would like to join you guys. It's been a minute, and we should definitely get together. It'll be fun times. Talking about a new figure obscura this weekend. I did not know that. I know that during LegionsCon and G-Con they talked about it being ever-changing and to expect the unexpected, so it'll be interesting to see what comes to fruition there. Yeah, so it looks like Ed's gone silent for a few minutes. Hopefully he'll be back. I've never done this by myself, so we'll go for it. That said, I didn't get anything. Well, that's not true. I did pick up a couple things I will grab. A little out of reach as I'm getting the office together still. But I did recently get this that I had ordered a while ago. It was on sale. So got some Mattel Elite headbangers, which they just announced a new set on their ringside exclusive cast or whatever today. Also got the Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci 2-pack from them. And then this one's my favorite. Got a little CM Punk here. This one's for you, Punk with Toys. I know he's one of your favorites. So I got that straight edge hardcore figure here. Haven't unboxed it. We'll be doing some unboxing now that I have the studio down here. Got a space right over here for a wrestling arena. Got a place over here for photos, and then over there we've got some space for the reviews and cameraing for that stuff. So we'll be definitely be opening those and putting some pre-record stuff on the stream here shortly, as I've got a crap ton of stuff to unbox, and as I showed Ed, there is quite a bit that I need to get to. So we'll be going through there. I got the Varnox that I need to get taken care of. Oh, it's straight edge hardcore CM Punk figure. And I have just opened it enough to take a look at what's inside, and it's this figure here, which is having a hard time focusing, but they did pretty cool on it. The packaging they do on these Ultimates or Elites, this is an Ultimate, they do a really good job with. So this will be going in the case for sure once I do that unboxing. Awesome. Cool. Just trying to keep my eyes on these messages from Ed. Seeing if he's getting back to me. That said, I mean, that's possible. That's definitely possible, Punk. I'm not 100% sure. Those may be the case. I'm not familiar with a lot of hardcore bands. Okay. Let's go right into the show, I guess, since my buddy's not here tonight. We will jump right on in. So, tonight, is LegionsCon worth the hype? So that'll be the topic. We'll get to that at the end here. As you guys know, I went to LegionsCon beginning of November. It's a big event. If you're fairly new to the area, you know, the community, LegionsCon's a big one. It's a huge independent toy convention. There's all sorts of hype behind it. Going back, I think this was year 5 or 6. We will. He'll be right back. Ed just got back to me. Router went out, so he'll be joining me in a moment. But that said, LegionsCon, is it worth the hype? We'll go into this a little bit more in detail as we wrap up some news and the shout out from the crick. But the idea here is we're going to dive into what it is, and from a consumer and a potential vendor, someone who has a product. Believe it or not, Punk, I do have a product. It's on the other side of this wall here, jerk. But that said, going back to the idea about LegionsCon, I got a chance to see it firsthand. Definitely a very interesting experience. So we'll dive into it a little bit as we move forward. But I'm gonna go right on into the shout out from the crick here.
Where the water flows, we're shouting out to those who know. Spreading joy, sharing love, ToyLeet fam, you rise above. Shout out from the creek, you're the best. Hype up the heroes who've passed the test. Community stars shining bright.
That said, this week's shout out from the crick is Akxion.figure.sold.separately. I'm going to let Ed jump right on in as he showed up just in time to do the shout out from the crick. It's all you, Ed. You're muted, brother.
How about now?
You're rocking and rolling, man.
All
I was
right.
hanging there for a minute. I was trying, dude. I was trying.
That's
It
all
was
right,
hard.
dude. I don't know what the hell happened, but I'm here now. So
Literally, as we went live, you just disappeared from the screen.
yeah.
So,
did you go through the chat already?
so I already did the chat, did the
All
welcomes, kind of gave an update on, what we were doing, what I had been doing, what the show had been, and I just gave the intro for this guy, Action Figure Sold Separately. You want to talk about him a little bit since this is your piece?
Yeah, sure. So tonight's shout out is for Action Figures Sold Separately, or otherwise AK Robert or Rob. I don't know if he likes Rob or not, but anyway, he does some amazing dios. Punk and I talked to him for a little bit at Joe Fest, and Punk bought I think he got 4 dials from him at Joe Fest. Gave him a really good deal because his last day, and I wheeled and dealed for Punk and got him a good deal for 4 for like $80 or something, $100, something like that. But anyway, amazing dials. The dio that was at last year's Joe Fest for Monster Force, Robert actually created that for them. So,
oh wow,
does really good stuff. He's been bouncing around everybody's Instagram, kind of supporting them, and he's always in a bunch of different chats and supporting people that way. So, a really cool guy, him and his wife or girlfriend. I can't remember if it was his wife or girlfriend. They live right close to where Joe Fest is. So, they're really great people. They have like miniature records that they actually sell in a crate. So you can like use those for dios too. So yeah, just really cool guy, go over and give him some support. Buy a dio from him. He's always selling his stuff. If you go over to his Instagram and take a look, he's got stuff up for sale and just creates stuff all the time. So really cool guy. I said I've met him at Joe Fest. I've talked to him for probably a little bit over. Well, maybe a couple months longer than whatever Joe Fest was 6 months ago. So I probably been talking to him for about 9 months. So really cool guy. Makes some great dios and definitely trying to get out there and build some community around his products and stuff. So
awesome. That's good, man. That's good. I'm just gonna pull us out of the slides for a second. Now that you're here, I already kind of ran over all that stuff. I did check his stuff out. Gave him a follow today. His stuff is really cool. Thanks for sharing that. Went through the chat already. Welcomed people. Olivia did say hi. I guess she didn't care that I was here. She only cared that you were missing, Ed.
Hi, Olivia.
There was accusations by my arch nemesis Teflon that I may have taken you out, Ed, and that is not the case. And Terrence has suggested maybe you are AI, but that's not the case because if you were AI, it would have made you look like a hell of a lot better.
I agree. Right. If I was going to be AI, I would be like Johnny Depp level or something, right?
Right. Exactly. Awesome, man. So it's been a few weeks. The last time we were on with Terrence over there, and talking about Swigfest or Swigamania or LegionsCon and, all of what that was just before going to LegionsCon myself. And then, it's been a few weeks. I know LegionsCon happened. Then we had our week we planned off. And then, last time we were on, we had Mega J on.
Yes. We had Terrence on.
Yes, I'm sorry. Mixing all my stuff up.
We did the 2 in a row. Yeah, we did the 2 in a row.
Yes. Sorry. Last time we had Mega J on. Time before that we had Terrence on. LegionsCon the week after we had Mega J on, and then we took a break because we do the every other week, except for when we have specials like that. And then last week we were supposed to get on. Adam did point that out that I bailed on my own show this past week. And yes, I did have to. I asked if we could move it to Wednesday. You weren't available, and I'm still in disarray here in my office trying to get everything together. I've run electrical. I think I put in like 8 outlets, and I've got all sorts of shelves and stuff put up.
The best thing about our show is they say consistency is key, right? Well, we're consistently inconsistent, and it's working.
I think so.
We've
been growing.
I mean, we went from like 330 subs to 408 in like a month and a half. We're good, man. We're doing
we've been doing well. The steady progress, and I'll even shout out Punk on this. Punk early on in the venture with you said, there's different types of subs you can get, right? It can be
Yep.
it can be those that are, oh, you're giving away stuff, you're doing this, you're doing that, or you could focus on getting your natural growth through together content that people enjoy and a community people enjoy being a part of. And I think that's what we've been trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Ed, just a reminder to those that that aren't subbed, if you've come across this, if you like what we do, like what we talk about, like that Ed doesn't show up for the first 15 minutes, that type of thing. You like rescheduled sessions. More importantly, you like independent toys and cool, different, unique topics. Share and subscribe. Help us get to 500. That'll just continue to motivate us. We've been really trying. Like I said, we're going to have some additional stuff on the channel, including some pre-records, reviews. I got a ton of stuff. Ed, you've seen the boxes. I found boxes. You said to me 2 weeks ago, man, I really wish I could get my hand on one of those Savage slates. And I was like, hold on a second. Let me go through this stash of boxes. Oh, guess who's got one? And it's still in the box. So tons of stuff to record and unbox. So we got a lot going on. And I also mentioned to Oz that I'm going to try to join you guys on Saturday night while I'm cleaning up the basement and maybe unboxing some stuff myself. So that's the stream, Ed. How's your week's been, man? It's been a couple.
Doing good, man. Doing good. Been busy. Got the new position, so hours are different.
Awesome.
So I've been leaving the house at like 6 a.m. as opposed to, only leaving the house at 8 a.m. a couple of days a week and then working from home the rest of the week. So it's been a little bit of a shift. And then, of course, learning all new stuff. It's, I'm an old dude, man. It's hard to learn new stuff when you're an old dude.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. We, my company that I'm at now, they just announced, I was hired back in June. They just announced that they're going to do a return to office thing. There was actually a partnership. I don't know if you've ever heard of Independent Health out your way. Ed?
Yep, we have Independent Health.
Yeah. They're all connecting now, so we're going to be one part of the same family. So
nice.
Just before all that happened, they
be wearing those red shirts.
We were already rocking red. We were already rocking red for our organization. But yeah, red shirts. Yeah, I've heard that. There is there's a return to work, so I'll be returning to work 3 days a week inside on the office. So dealing with that adjustment, I'm like, man, I haven't been returned to work in a consistent state since 2016, 2017. So
it's tough.
Yeah, it's an adjustment I'm not sure I'm going to be a huge fan of. So it is what it is. Take it day by day and, work along with it. But
let's say hi to this guy real fast. What's up, Menhoza? Yeah. Or as you're known around the block, Menhoza.
I tried to do it with a little bit of that, but I was not able to.
No? All right.
Awesome. Cool, man. I hit the chat up. I haven't seen anybody else join.
No. Was Menhoza here earlier? Because I just see him pop in and say what's up all, so I didn't know that it was here earlier or not.
Yeah, he already did. I think we're caught up on the chat. I think I said hello to Nolan. I don't think I missed him, but he did. Somebody said say hi to him. I think I said hi to him. Hopefully,
hi, Nolan. We got to say hi, even if he's not here. We have to say We have to say hello to Ken. Hi, Ken.
Oh, hey, Ken. One thing I want to point out here is this right here. And I'm only doing this because I love the new logo. I love that TSJ. That. I don't know if that's new or not, but I saw it the other day on one of the socials, and I thought that was some kick-ass cool stuff there, Terrence.
Yeah, that is fancy.
Good stuff, man. So I'm going to go back into the slides. We're going to jump into the news. So, in the news, weekly news, what we got first? We got some stuff from the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. AWOC did drop some updates. They've got, Brawlers did hit some delays, kind of pushing back the LegionsCon sales, right? But they did do some air shipping, small batch of Necro Armor Pale and Fareless Ranger. So fans still get something fresh. This guy still was able to grab some of that at LegionsCon. I know there was some tooling bottlenecks that they'd cleared. Adam was good with sharing some stuff when I saw him, and then Brick made the announcements, I think last week on the weekly Wednesday AWOC updates, that all the mold tweaks should be finished by end of November, with some material samplings coming in early December. Factory did say the Brawlers production will ship before the Chinese New Year, so that's huge because that takes a little bit of time to get over here. And if it didn't get shipped before the Chinese New Year, that could push it out a little bit. Not overly concerned as myself as a consumer, but I know that I know talking to Jason personally at LegionsCon, he is very he and Adam are very adamant in getting these in the consumers' hands because not all consumers are someone as patient as someone like me who's like it'll come when it comes. But next year's gonna be big for them, and I know just talking to Jason is very important to him to make sure everyone's pleased and making sure everything's done right. So keep your eyes out for that. One of the features I think that the figures should have an easier pop-up part at the waist, so that you can do some additional customization across the different molds. They also have some pictures that came out in that update. You can see the Kali Prime sword, which I thought looked freaking awesome. And then you can see some of the armor packs from the Brawler Wave and some of those accessories with the different paint apps on those, which I think look awesome. I'm not a gun guy, so I'll be tossing those aside and giving them away to somebody else who wants those. But all of those other weapons look freaking awesome to me. A very cool, update from AWOC. A little update from Realm of Toys. LegionsCon wrapped up their last show. Yes. What I say? What I say? Brutal Realm. I'm sorry. Oh, it's one of those days. Sorry. Brutal Realms. Thank you, dude. Thank you. Brutal Realm. Sorry. Let's roll this back. Do a little. Yeah. No, that's not what I meant. So Brutal Realm did give some updates. They did wrap up their LegionsCon show without figures, right? Unfortunately, I said last, when they were trying to get these out this year, it was going to be unlikely that they'd be, coming into 2026 pretty strong if they were able to move it along. They're working with, and I didn't know this until recently. I believe they're working with David Vonner. For some reason, I guess I either forgot that or, and shut up, Adam. No, I'm not last. I'm getting him early. Don't say that, guys. Definitely getting mine first. That said, David Vonner, I for some reason either forgot that he was a part of this crew, but he's been kind of boots on the ground in China reviewing the new models, fixing some scale issues, tightening the joints before the full production begins. Factory prototypes are already in hands of the First Strike figs for promo shots, and the teams had mentioned that the Owl King is nearly finished. As you can see here in the image that they shared. And they're also looking at a female wave in the next line. So, interesting news coming out of Brutal Realm. Formerly, no, I'm just kidding, Brutal Realm. And then some updates from Four Horsemen. They dropped their full schedule for 2026. Couple key items here is the 2026 focuses lineup with Horsemen aiming to make an appearance a little bit more meaningful. They're going to be at ZoloCon, Toylanta. They got a couple new stops, including CarverCon, which is it's another convention, probably going to be kind of like LegionsCon light, I guess I would say, in the sense that they're focusing on independent toys and kind of getting a lot of the folks from the LegionsCon in the same place at the same time. And then they have Motu Fest, which is the PowerCon connector. And another one called Monster Palooza, which I have not heard of, so I'm going to do a little research after this on it. But they also mentioned that they'll be returning for Wundrfest, and so they'll be at SDCC for the second year straight, and they're already teasing some big plans leading into Mythic Week, LegionsCon 2026 in November, which we'll talk a little bit about later. And then I also wanted to pull this up just because we hadn't talked about this since LegionsCon. This was an image that just kind of stood out to me, is that, obviously there's the new line. It's exploring the new world, or the further mythos of the Mythic Legions. And you have this giant crab guy. I think it's Bulwark. I'm probably pronouncing it really, really bad. But just in comparison to some of these other figures, it's massive. I don't have any of the troll scales. I also don't have any of the orc scales, unless the dragon people are orc scales. But I do have Slog, and Slog is a giant figure to begin with. That crab is going to be massive. You're going to have to get tested for concussions after playing with that one if it falls. So have fun with that thing. I couldn't imagine what that thing's going to cost to ship. But looking forward to seeing what folks do with it. But that was interesting size figure. Again, kind of exploring additional configurations and tooling for that company. And I guess I did pronounce it right. Thank you, Oz. A little update from Fresh Monkey Fiction. They had showed off some first real-world looks at the Crimson Moon packaging. They did share this as the samples for the Order of the Crimson Moon, kind of giving fans a preview of the final retail look. These are still pre-order status on Big Bad Toy Store, so with some early pricing locked in during that pre-order window. Part of the continued push behind Operation Monster Force, showing the line is moving steadily through production. And then just to kind of echo, I believe this is kind of like a prequel to the Operation Monster Force line with the connected lore. Ed, if I'm incorrect there, please do let me know. Yeah, I always am. Moving on to Plunderlings. There was I didn't see any communications publicly on this. I did see them in person at LegionsCon. They had this exclusive, which I think I missed out on because I was there day 2. But one of the updates I have, I was walking around LegionsCon. I was talking to I believe the creator. I don't know his name. Unfortunately, I didn't catch it, but we were chatting for a minute around these. And one of the things I picked up on, and I said, oh, the Kickstarter's getting ready to go soon. Do you have any updates? And he kind of, I don't know if we're going to do Kickstarter. We might just do a pre-order. And I said, oh, so no Kickstarter? And he's like, yeah, I think we're really going to be pushing towards a pre-order process. And he didn't outright say that was concrete, but he definitely was pushing in that direction. I did ask him outright. I said, hey, you know, you have the flying ones, right? Plunderbeaks, I think is what they're called. I said they looked really cool, had a lot of stuff on display. But I said, you missed the opportunity for plunder wings. Like, that was, it wrote itself. And he laughed and he said, well, I had plunder wings in mind for another character or style thing. But he doesn't know if he's ever going to bring those to fruition. We'll see. But that was interesting to me. So that's why the naming is there. But he did allude to, again, after I was like, oh, you guys have these now? And he's like, no, these are just displays. They're not for sale yet. And he's like, we're going to do a pre-order probably instead of a Kickstarter. So quick update on those. Then we have one of my favorite lines, Savage Crucible. I think one of your favorite lines too, Ed, but Savage Crucible just unleashed a beast. Unleashed a beast in my opinion. It's the first look at Death Dealer's steed, and this thing looks like it's pretty much right out of the Frazetta painting. And then they're going to be partnering with Fish Toys, which this has already been kind of spreading over the internet the last few weeks, coming out of the trip they made down to Tennessee for the Titan Expo, Toy Expo down there. But basically, they're going to be partnering with Fish Toys, as they already have that fully articulated horse build on their base model. They're going to be doing some additional Frazetta-specific kind of styling to it, and some newly sculpted head options. It's already in production. The steed will feature synthetic hair for the mane and the tail, matching the high-end Fish Toys style that they've already become known for. It will be with a limited pre-order coming soon, so I don't have a lot of detail on that. I'm curious what limited pre-order means. Does that mean that you're only going to be able to get it with like it's pre-order only, and it's almost like I don't want to say Hasbro Pulse, but it's made to order? Like, is that what they're going to be doing, or is it just a very small window of time in comparison to what we've seen with Savage Crucible before, where they give you maybe a month or two to do your pre-orders before they switch to waiting till the items get in stock sales. Death Dealer himself is deep into production with an estimated shipping window of late Q4, and additional pre-orders will be available through retail partners for the Death Dealer himself. Tide Realm, we have that here. Couple of images here. This is the line that's based around kind of pirates, and it's also it's sculpted by the Four Horsemen Studios. It's you can see here. I love the images of the 3 different swords I really like the design and the sculpting they did on those. They look really cool. I love the blue with the accenting white there. But they've also released some new story fragments to kind of reveal the first major clash between the Captain Alistair Morningstar and Captain Algol Deathmoid. Setting the tone for kind of this high fantasy pirate war. You know me and lore, so that's something that's very interesting to me. Not sure I will get into this line, but I believe it's built off of a similar Four Horsemen Buck style kind of modular approach that they've been known for. As Terrence says, these look to be great, and wait to see what's coming from them. Up next is another Kickstarter. This is Unparalleled Universe, and specifically Odious. I don't know how I missed this, but it was not something I pulled in. I myself have not purchased Odious in the past. I know, Ed, you did. This one is back, and it's kind of an attempt at swinging for the fences again, as they have two brand new versions of this figure. They're going to be doing the Army Odious and the Cowboy Odious, each built on the original super articulated body, featuring some new soft goods, new head sculpts, and some loaded accessory packs. The campaign is keeping it kind of simple. There's not really any stretch goals, but big surprises if it's funded, including a partnership with BPTS for two exclusives, the Init and the Ronin. They did make some updates recently to the Kickstarter, saying that Army Odious now includes a werewolf head with concept art by Bobu and a Twitch sculpting session from Kevin Garcia. So go check out that Kickstarter. I myself did not back it and not looking to it, just not in the space of figures I want, but I've heard nothing but good things from the original Odious figure. So I'm sure if you wanted to get your hand on one, this is probably a good opportunity to do it, so go check that out. And with the fact that the previous Kickstarter did come through, I can't imagine there would be any issues with this one if it does reach its funding goals. And a quick update from Valaverse. Valaverse did recently drop some heat in, from what I would say, kind of around some production samples from the Black, and this extension of the Valaverse line and lore is impressive in my eyes. The samples for Blackbeard and the pirate themed wave are here with only a few cleanup tweaks needed before moving into the next phase of production. Valaverse did confirm that they'll be shifting major social media focus to the Black, which is kind of this pirate modern day pirate faction within the Valaverse lore, and they'll be focusing on that line as it gears up for the spring. And they did mention or hint to an exclusive reveal at ZoloCon 2026, and there's talks of what that could look like. And they also had some more recent posts too, where you can see some additional tooling and for another character that they plan to reveal and show off here soon. But as you can see, he's kind of got that pirate look and feel to him, and much more Tinkerer look as opposed to your standard military issued characters that Valaverse World has been delivering before. But that said, that's the news this weekend.
Fantastic. I would like to just say that several months ago, I said the world is lacking action figures based on pirates and cowboys, and now look what's going on.
That's not true. That's not true. That is not true. That's not true.
It's absolutely.
It was not a few. It was not a few months ago. You have been saying this for about 2 years almost.
Well, true.
You have been saying consistently for almost 2 years that that you need some pirate stuff. And look at the Four Horsemen are doing that with their most recent release. It's an anthropomorphic, pirate style thing, but it fits into the Mythic Legions lore and that world. And then you have the Corsair line, and then you have the Valaverse line, definitely climbing into that space.
And now you got
so, no, you're 100% right.
Odious coming out as a cowboy. There's a couple other cowboys based on Red Dead Redemption from one of the third-party Asian companies. So nice stuff coming.
That's cool.
Real quick, just to touch onto the news. Oz says that Blue Crab makes him hungry. He says the dragon sires are ogre scale, so you have that one. That's ogre
Okay,
scale.
so I do have a couple of those. Yep.
Yeah. The guy that did the Plunderlings, the name was Ricky, according to Endless Fables and Terrence. Said he's a great
Okay.
guy.
Yeah, very friendly.
Terrence
Very
saying
friendly.
that the Plunder Wings maybe were bats. I guess that's what he was saying. Teflon saying I'm gonna need that horse for a Mezco Conan. Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. And yeah, that Brutal Realm. I was gonna say Realm of Toys. Brutal Realm is definitely it's all fantasy based. It's very barbarian
Oh yeah.
barbarian based. Teflon was asking about that earlier.
Oh okay. Gotcha.
I missed it though. And Terrence saying you can order the original Odious through the Kickstarter still too. The original Odious is a good figure. I wish that I could get just the cowboy set by itself. So I don't need
just the apparel.
Yeah, I don't need another Odious figure, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, that'll be interesting because I don't know how it's gonna go. I did see they've had about 10 days left. Let's go back real quick, a couple screens. We could talk about that one a little bit, right? So, they're about halfway to the goal, right?
Yeah.
They've got 430 backers, which is a large amount of backers, but only 10 days left to go. I'll be curious if this one funds. Because of that, right? Like you said, right? People bought the figure, and I know that there's some additional head sculpts, but if it's the same figure, the same tooling, the same buck, it's not, it doesn't have a different wash or a different color wrap.
If I remember correctly, though, the last Odious Kickstarter was really the last 72 hours.
Oh, it went to the deadline, I think. Yeah. I feel like.
Troy, 3D Trooper, stopping in saying, "What's up, my dudes? Have a great Thanksgiving." You too, Troy. Have an amazing Thanksgiving.
You too. Absolutely.
There was a couple more here I wanted to touch on.
You can hear me, right, Ed?
Yeah, you're good. Okay. Action Joe Figs is here saying, "Happy Thanksgiving, everyone." And happy Thanksgiving to you, brother. And Terrence wants some Eastwood-centric cowboys. Yeah, me too, brother. Me too. Eastwood, Tombstone, all those. Terrence looking forward to the Red Dead figs he bought from SK? 5K, yeah. 5K. Yeah. Yep, those figures look good, man. I wanted to get one. I was going to pre-order it, and then I forgot about them, and then now they're sold out. So I'll have to try finding them on the secondary market or somewhere. Maybe Toys Metaverse will have them again. I don't know. We can't hear what you're saying.
They can.
Who can't hear what you're saying? Nobody wants to hear him anyway, so it's all good. What's up, Mr. Wundrful and Action Figs? What's up, Plastic Skulls, my man? How you doing?
Awesome.
I guess one head's going to be a werewolf, so that'd be cool.
Yep.
It'd be better to have some variants to the core Odious figure. Yeah, I agree. I mean, but that was his. It was Wayne's avatar or whatever you want to call it, right? And he built a figure around it. So I mean, you got to give him kudos for that shit, right? And he's pushing it on. I mean, he's got. I think he had an exclusive last year at LegionsCon. I don't know if he did this year or not, but
I'm not criticizing him and his product at all. I've heard nothing but positive things.
I'm just saying,
I'm interested in the Kickstarter. It seems like a regurgitation to some degree, where it's going to be harder to necessarily fund, right? Because it's knowing what I know about products, right? Like obviously there's some new tooling for some heads and things like that. Obviously you have all the soft goods and stuff, but it's essentially to some degree it's just a reorder from the manufacturer with some additional stuff.
Yeah, I mean now the soft goods the soft goods on the original one were pretty cool, right? They're very modern though. Jeans, cut off sleeve, flannel with a hood, the whole thing, right? I think. I mean, I'm not trying to tell him how to run his business, right? Because that's his business.
No.
But if it was me this time around, I would have offered the plain buck by themselves again, like he did for the original Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And then the the uniforms or clothing separately and let people decide what they want, what
they want to tool it out with. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking too.
Maybe have the heads as
and
a extra pack or a heads pack or something too, right? I mean, but
yeah,
I hope he makes it because Odious is a cool figure and it's cool that he's doing. I know he had the cowboy and he had the World War II dude this time, or Vietnam, whatever one it is. But I know like they had the samurai or whatever you called the other one that he's shown off, and he's had a couple of other outfits made for him. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I wish him nothing but the best.
yeah.
I hope it.
Terrence said he had Odious skullhead Odious.
I saw that. I did see that.
Yep. Yeah, those look pretty cool.
That.
Anyway, that's it. We're good.
Awesome. So, is LegionsCon worth the hype? Is it, Ed? Do you think it was worth the hype? You haven't been there.
If I listen to my good friend Oz, he'll say it's better than going to Disney World. But I've never been, so I have no personal stake in the game. Would I like to go?
Well,
yes, but I just haven't yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I was pushed. They pushed me. Terrence pushed me. Mm-hmm. That said, let's start with my experience, right, Ed? So
you gave into peer pressure. You gave into peer pressure.
Yes, I did.
Badly, right?
I did. This was my first, LegionsCon. Well, it was my first LegionsCon in attendance. I was planning to go in 2023, booked a booth for Hex's Stack, but unfortunately, due to the production issues I was having and the quality of the product, I wasn't comfortable bringing that to sell, and had to pull out last minute. Good, bad, indifferent. I probably should have pushed through and showed up and at least displayed some things to make the connections, but I didn't. As I wasn't happy with what I was trying to shell at the time. So that said, I only took the day pass. I didn't buy a 2-day pass because I knew my wife wasn't going to be able to hold up for 2 full days of it, and I didn't know if it was going to be something I was going to want to put in full 2 days for. And then also, my daughter had some stuff going on the day before, so we did the 1 day. I did bring my wife and son for it, and it was a hit. My son had a blast. My wife was interested. She was, kind of following behind me the whole time. But she saw a lot of what I've been telling her. Like, there's all of this stuff that's like artistic and creative, and it's really in your wheelhouse. Maybe the subject matter isn't something you can envision or that you've tried to envision to date, but it's definitely something that you'd be capable of. And she was looking at stuff. She's like, oh yeah, this is stuff she could definitely do. But again, it goes back to the subject matter. She's not sure it's hers, but she enjoyed hanging out with me and Chase and enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, I think as a person that enjoys art, right? Like your wife, just going there and seeing the stuff, it might not inspire you to go out and make, a castle or paint a figure that's a knight, but you can definitely appreciate just the artwork that goes into what these people are doing, right?
Absolutely. So I'm still working on it. I got this studio down here, which also has a crafting area. So I'm hoping, and she's got an office. She took over my old office, so I'm setting her up there with a crafting area. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I can somehow make the connection between the world that I play in and the world I haven't convinced her to completely be engaged in. That said, I did tell her. I'll talk about that at the end. But from the moment you walk in, right, the creators everywhere, YouTubers everywhere, vendors, manufacturers, people everywhere. It's just the whole freaking venue is like Takeover, right? It was like Legion's Takeover. It's loud, it's packed, but friendly. It's not rambunctious. It's not obnoxious. I will say it's a bit overwhelming. For me, I felt like I knew a lot of the people there, but I don't know if they knew who I was. I've met a lot of these people before. I've talked on streams. We've chatted in chats. But even though what somebody looks like on this little 4 screen, it's not always the same person when you're in person. When I was at, this is the first time I've been to a convention that wasn't PowerCon. That's like really a toy convention beyond just a toy show. So let's not confuse it, and let's not mix up LegionsCon for a toy show, because it is not a toy show. It is so much more. But at PowerCon, I had a booth, I had a branding, I had a lot of people who knew who I was at the time, and they knew to look for that booth, and I was next door to Hello Dope Toys, so I also had that playing to my favor. So people were coming up to me. Well, there I'm just somebody walking through the aisles with my son and my wife, and some people recognized me, and I popped into a couple booths and chatted with some folks. Had the opportunity to see Laser Pants again. It'd been a few years since I saw him at PowerCon. Talked to Adam and Jason quite a bit at their booth for a little while. Talked to Brian, Endless Fables, who was awesome. Thank you so much for bringing my pickup there, the Varnox. That was awesome. Met Terrence. I don't know if Terrence knows this or not, but when I went to meet Terrence, I went up to the Swig convention, which is on the 3rd floor there. I went to it. I thought I saw him in a distance, and I was like, shit, he's a lot taller than I expected. I guess that guy's name is TJ, because I went up to him. I was like, hey, it's Travis. I was like, are you Terrence? He's like, no, I'm TJ. I'm like, and I was like, TJ? Okay. TSJ. Okay, yeah, you're Terrence, right? He's like, no, I'm TJ. I'm like, oh, shit. So I'm like, oh, wait, Gina, she's sitting down over here. Let me go talk to her. So I went over to talk to Gina real quick, and she said, oh, Terrence had to leave for a second. And then I walked out of the room feeling like a complete asshat. And I'm like, I don't know this TJ guy, but I feel like a complete fool.
Wait. You recognize Gina 100%, but fucked up on Terrence.
Well, this guy TJ is like, he was tall and off in a distance, and I was like, he didn't look exactly like the guy on camera, but I was like, oh, this must be him. But she was sitting right there.
Taller than you'd expect him to be, because he's like, we're always sitting down, but he's...
Yeah, there's like a 4-to-1 ratio male to female, though, so like, there's, you know what I mean? Like, think about, right? Like, it's going to be easier to recognize one of the females there than it is one of the guys, since, again, it's like 4-to-1, maybe 5-to-1, male to female ratio. That said, I went out in the hallway, and then I saw Terrence, and I was like, oh, yeah, he is short like me. Okay, cool. So I was like, I knew he wasn't a giant. That said, ran into him, talked to him. He was busy with that. I would have liked to hang out with the guys more and get a chance to talk to him, but I knew he was busy with the Swig stuff, because I did go on Sunday. It was easy, man. Yes, Adam, you... Yeah, there's skinny white nerds, and then there's fat white nerds, and like, I know what I look like, so I was like, I don't have to find Travis. That's easy. That said, thank you, Adam. But I knew who you were, because you were hiding behind the Spiro booth, so that made it easy. That said, again, I will say this was much more in line with PowerCon, but much tighter knit, and it's not a toy show. Been to a lot of toy shows. The toy shows that I've been to, it's all resellers just selling Ollie's and Walmart clearance and Target discounts, and occasionally they have some older retro toys that they got in a storage unit or have been holding on to for years. This is not that event. That said, Ed, based on what I've described, what you've heard from others, if you were able to hit up this show for one day, you think you'd survive it? You think your wallet would survive it?
The wallet? Fuck no. The wallet would definitely not survive. I'd have to leave it in the car.
Yeah.
I would survive.
Yeah.
But the wallet? No. Ain't no damn way that wallet's surviving. And it wouldn't even be like the Legion stuff I'd be buying. I'd be buying all the custom heads and dioramas and stuff that everybody has there.
Oh, yeah.
Some of Mrs. Ackerman's, soft goods that she makes, and Curtis's paintbrushes, and fucking wells that, have water in them and shit. I mean, just...
Adam says, LegionsCon happens to have toys displayed while a bunch of identical nerds hang out and have a great time.
Yeah.
That hits it on the head directly. But I will say, I was trying to find Brian for a while, right? And
you had to get that Varnock, man. You got to get those.
Well, right. I had to get both. I had to get the Varnox.
Yeah, the
so
Varnock.
I had to get those. I mean, that's what I made the trip for. No, I kid. That was part of the reason, right? But I did have the chance. I saw him in the hallway. He and Jason were headed up to do the Swig stuff and get that up on display. So I let him go. I didn't want to bother him right then. I just introduced myself to him. My wife saw him for a split second because I kind of follow him out. And to Adam's point here, where everyone looks the same, I had a hard time finding Brian again. But my wife says, "Oh no, I think I saw him like half a mile down this aisle." like in the middle of the arena. I was like, oh, we'll just sit outside the big, because like the convention, the way it's laid out, there's like this big conference room where all of the booths are and stuff, like the major, not the major, but like all the majority of booths. And then there's an outside hallway where there's some additional booths, but there's some seating, right? So I was like, oh, I'll just sit out here. We'll wait a few minutes. I'm sure Brian will come through at some point. Like we'll see him, or we could walk around after. We had done some other stuff and whatnot. And my wife's like, no, I'm pretty sure I saw him. And she's like off in the far distance. And then, I walk in and she sees him. And she was right. But so she could recognize the difference in all of us nerds. I just suck at it. So that's how that worked. That said, just kind of like my experience, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the additional slides. I already kind of covered this, but most toy shows, right, you walk into the same setup, bunch of reseller tables, clearance figures, old collectibles being flipped. LegionsCon is totally opposite. It's wall-to-wall creators. Every booth is someone building, sculpting, customizing, or designing something original. I'd say there's no repeats, but there's definitely similar things on a lot of the tables. There's definitely not a lot of filler. I did see a few, like I even told the little dude, hey, you're not going to see any Star Wars stuff here. Like you're not going to see any Mattel wrestlers, things like that. I was wrong. There was a few people who had a couple toys on tables here and there, but for the most part, everything was like this unique creator community, in addition to some independent toy companies displaying and selling their stuff. Four Horsemen, the Animal Wars of the Kingdom, Valaverse, the Plunderlings. I'm trying to think of all of the independent creators. There was a lot of toys that were going to be going for Kickstarter. I saw can't remember. I saw a person creating a book called World on Fire. Khalid Udin, was doing some stuff. So I grabbed his stuff. It was like a fantasy. He explained it. It's like I think he said it's like Game of Thrones meets the X-Men. So like interesting, kind of crossover approach. There was, I think the Tides of Corsair were there. There was a number of other lines that were in, being, presented, not necessarily sold in some cases, but so much stuff. A lot of 3D printed stuff. I saw that D'Arte Studios, tons. I saw the Power Ranger thing in person. There was so many unique creators there. It was not your standard toy show. Ed, you've been around the toy circuit a lot longer than I have, right? Like the toy shows and things, right? How rare is a show where almost everything at a table is something brand new and not just some resellers' leftovers?
I mean, outside of PowerCon, which had, like at PowerCon, you remember when we went in 2023, like the one section was mostly like independent toys, kind of showing off their goods. Then there was up front where like Hello Dope was, where you kind of were. They had most of like the stuff you normally see, right? So it wasn't really like intermixed a lot. It was like front part of the show was all the used stuff or the, resale stuff, and the back part of the show was kind of independent. Most of the time, though, most of the shows you go to is kind of like, I'd say 75%, resale, and then, 25% new stuff. Joe Fest is kind of a 50-50 split now, but it wasn't always that way.
But now when
a lot of it is not like independent people just making cool shit, right? I mean, I think that's the biggest difference is it's so full of like creative people that it's not even, it can't even be considered a toy show. It's like an art show.
Yeah, I mean, PowerCon was a convention for sure, but it definitely wasn't it was independent. There was a ton of independent toys, right? Like,
right.
Like you had like the highest end of independent toys and like your Four Horsemen and even Super 7 and things like that, right? And you had McFarlane stuff there. You had AWOC, Savage Crucible, Valaverse. You had the Big Bad Toy Store stuff, like all of that stuff, right? So there was a lot of that, but I didn't see a lot of 3D, individual solo print. solopreneurs. I think
It
I'm
wasn't.
probably
It
pronouncing
wasn't a
wrong,
lot
but
of creators there, right? It wasn't creators like on that level, right? Or it's an independent dude in his basement just making some cool ass
yes,
shit.
yeah, absolutely. So like, I imagine you see a little bit more of that at Joe Fest, right? But PowerCon
Really, not a
definitely
lot of
didn't
that at
have
Joe
that.
Fest. I mean, you have a lot of
Oh, really?
small independent companies like Delta 17, which is
Okay,
Steve running it, or you have a couple of people like that, but you don't really have a lot of independent guys just selling on the outside. Like after hours and stuff, you see a lot of guys selling off their 3D stuff or
gotcha.
trading and stuff like that, but not on the actual show
Interesting.
floor.
Interesting. Interesting. I've not been to Joe
I mean,
Fest,
there
so
was a few
that's
guys like that, right? There was a couple of tables, but not like where you're like, damn, this is a bunch of cool stuff, right? Like
right.
Action Figures Old Separately had a table at Joe Fest, right? Selling off his dios. There was another
Gotcha.
guy who was selling off these little like Cobra bunker looking things, right? That he had 3D printed or manufactured somewhere, but he only had like 150 of them, 50 in each of the three colors that he brought. So I mean, there was some of that stuff. The one guy that makes 3D figures, or 3 3/4 inch figures, O-ring style. I can't remember his name, but he's a guy working with Valaverse now. I think I can't remember his
Oh,
name.
Mark II design.
No, the guy doing the 3 3/4 inch figures for.
Oh, I don't know that one. I know what you're
Uh,
talking about, but I don't know what it's
Someone
called.
probably knows what I'm talking about, but I
Yeah.
can't think of his name right now. But anyway, there were some of those, but not nearly like you see it. What would Matt LaCroix? Yeah, thanks, Oz.
Yeah, LaCroix.
LaCroix's
That makes
toys.
sense
Yeah.
better.
Yep.
Yep.
So I mean, there's a lot of that stuff there, but not where it's like every table is just full of people creating stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. LegionsCon is that. It is, and I think Terrence might say it best, right? It's a creator showcase, which I think is what the goal, from what I understand, is that CarverCon is that having that ability to have another creator showcase. So it's kind of midway through the year, so it's not a full year before everybody gets together. Be interesting to see how that one plays out. It seems like they've got a good turnout as far as vendors and stuff, but we'll talk more about that later. Then what I will say is the scale of this thing shocked me. Right, obviously we've seen the map. It's been shared, but being there in person, seeing how many rows and seeing all of the like there wasn't an empty booth. These booths were packed. It was actually hard to walk through. The folks on the outside wall, like where Spiro was, and what's that skull? That group there. I can't think of what they're called. They were going to share a booth with Spiro. They have that red skull thing or whatever. I can't think of what it's called. Skeletron. That's what it is. Thank you. The Skeletron thing. They were on the outside wall, and because of that, they didn't have any vendors on the wall, opposing them, like in front of them. So it was a little easier to walk down those aisles. The other aisles were very, very, very packed. Very slow to walk your way through. Be patient. There's a lot to see. But what I would say is, you have all of that. Then you have the stuff on the third floor, which was nice. The gaming room, and the gentleman, and I can't remember his name, the gentleman that talked me through the game, explained it to me, my wife, and my son. We didn't play it, but we took a look at it. I would definitely like to do those gaming sessions would be fun. What I'll also say is that the Armory experience was cool. Most of the things were sold out by the time we got there on Sunday, so I'm sure people got some really kick-ass builds. My son did do a build. My wife walked through with us. She didn't want to do one, but she just tagged along and watched my son do it. He enjoyed it. We tried to put it together in the hallway, but unfortunately we didn't have a heat gun there to really make sure, and I did not want to break something trying to put it together, so we waited till we got home. Like I said, they had the gaming sessions. They also had other activities. I watched a couple streams, including Legion's Ladies Lounge, whatever it is there, a couple nights before. Obviously there's G-Con leading up to it. It's from what I could tell, it's nonstop. They also have where you can buy like the Four Horsemen stuff outside of the Armory experience. They had all their products there, so like it's massive. It's not the size of PowerCon, to put it in perspective for something, but it was large. It's big. Like, they have a lot of space in there, and there's a lot of stuff. And they use the hallway outside of it. I think they use a really good a good way to do it. But what's cool is they also have the lobby where the whole venue is basically taken over by legions, and people are just kind of scattered about. There's tables and different areas people are all just kind of gathering and hanging out with. It's nonstop. I met up with a couple people. I saw Joe, the Mythic Collector there. I think I can't think of his username for. Is it Menjoza? Is he the one that I met? He's the one that collects like crazy amounts of legions, right?
Huh?
Menjoza? No. Who's Joe? There's Joe. He's been on the stream with Oz and stuff before. What's that?
Joe Gonzalez. Joe G.
Yes. Yes, Joe G. Okay, sorry. Mixing him up. Yeah, Joe G. So Joe G, I met him in person. I heard his voice, and I was like, I think we've been on streams together on the Clubhouse. And I was like, you're the big Mythic Legion collector. Like, got everything and then some. And he's like, yes. So I met him on my way out of leaving the building. Like, he was just hanging out in the lobby and stuff. But yeah, there's a ton of people there. But, Ed, you weren't there, obviously, but when you look at the map, you saw the events that are scheduled from Intern for a Day to G-Con to the 2-day event in the building. From your experience, does any indie toy show even come close to that level of size and complexity that you've been to? Maybe Joe Fest?
I would say the G.I. Joe shows are close to that, but I still don't think, I want to, from the things I've heard, right, from like Joe G and Oz and Adam and Brick and all those guys, right, who have been to there, right? They have like the Intern for a Day before the show in G-Con, right? Then they have the show, and during the show they have painting sessions, they have diorama sessions, they have the armory experience where you get to go and actually like assemble a figure. It's I'd say there's a lot more maybe hands-on participation stuff at LegionsCon as opposed to the other shows where you kind of like Joe Fest had one thing where you could paint like a Sergeant Slaughter figure last year. They did something like that again this year, but like it's not all day where it's they have the panels, where like Fresh Monkey Fiction will come and present, or Valaverse will come and present, or whatever, but not interactive stuff where you're like hands-on doing something or learning tips from pros, right? It's just not
right.
None of the other shows do that kind of stuff. None of the shows that I've been to.
Gotcha. Awesome. I mean, it's huge. Like, for the size of the space they fit in, it's cozy, but it's huge and it's packed.
I think the other difference though is like when you're walking through, say, something like LegionsCon, right? And everybody's got like painted heads and dioramas and stuff. People are, and of course everybody knows each other too, so that stops people having conversations, right? But you also have people stopping to actually like look at the stuff, where you're not just kind of walking by scanning what's on a table of I'm looking for vintage Star Wars stuff. So as you're walking along the resale things, you're just looking for the old Star Wars packaging or things that catch your eye. When you're walking through LegionsCon, you're like, oh, check this out, oh, check this out, oh, check this out, right? This guy's selling this cool little shit, right? I got to go check this out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So one of the things that, I think I knew it, but I didn't know it to the degree that I knew it after I walked out of LegionsCon and after I saw posts on the Cabal and different areas, right? But what surprised me is the networking, right? This is an independent creator toy community and toy adjacent community. I saw people with coloring books for sale. You have the art by Ackerman, paintbrushes. You have 3D sculpted things. You have dioramas. You have so many things. You have independent toy companies like Spiro, Four Horsemen, obviously. You had Valaverse. There was a number of other ones. There's that. There was a couple others that I saw there. I think Biblical Ventures. There was other items there. But what I would say is that the ability to network there, talking to people, they had told me completely, like right to me, that it's a great opportunity to connect with other creators and people who have ins within the community, like within the industry, to help them move their projects forward. You can feel that how strong the community is from that. So like if you're someone that wants to be in this space, or you're in this space and looking to grow in this space or continue forward with something, whether is an artist who's writing a book. Like I told you, I got the card of somebody who had a book that I thought was interesting. There's other toy lines I hadn't even seen or heard of before that were being presented there. But talking to folks, they were able to connect the dot with someone else in the industry that they needed to be there to meet, to do in person, and build that relationship to take it forward. Because now they can turn that idea into stage 2 or stage 3, where they were stuck in stage 1 because they didn't have those connections. So to me, it presents a huge opportunity for people to have a good time, laugh, enjoy themselves, talk, share stories, come up with ideas, and collaborate, and then take that step forward. So to me, if you're an independent creator, community, toy adjacent individual, LegionsCon is a place you need to be. If you're not there, whether you have a booth or you're just attending as a consumer and someone who's going to interact with those people at the booth, they're all reachable and they're all accessible. And I'll say, from all the people that I talked to and the folks that I saw, LegionsCon represents an opportunity to not deal with gatekeeping. Like, it is literally the exact opposite.
Well, I mean,
of
you think about this, right? How many people are working for the Four Horsemen that started going to LegionsCon selling custom stuff or painting stuff for customs, right? And now they're employees of the actual Four Horsemen, or they do contract work for them, or whatever the case may be, right? I mean, it's you don't see that at a lot of other places, right? I mean, you don't walk up to a booth at Joe Fest and say, "Hey, how you doing? Look at this cool custom I made," and then you're working for them. I mean, JMK Customs got some gigs doing that stuff, but I mean, he's also been doing it for years with his dad and put stuff up on the internet and things like that, right? It didn't happen at Joe Fest, right? Like LegionsCon,
right.
It's kind of like that, right?
Yeah. And like I guess what I'm getting at is LegionsCon to me, like there are people in all communities that gatekeep. In the professional wrestling, when I wanted to wrestle, when I wanted to get in wrestling, there was people that tried to gatekeep that stuff. Like, you had to do it this way. In IT, there's gatekeeping. Like, there's it's in everything. It's everywhere. It's in the toy community. It's in the independent toy community. People will gatekeep things. But what I'm saying, and what I walked away from LegionsCon feeling, and I won't say that I felt this way. I've never felt this way from anyone within the community, from the folks that I got in contact in 2023 with all the way until now. I've never felt like I was being gatekept against, in any way, shape, or form. But I can see, and I've heard and watched and listened to others that do gatekeeping. LegionsCon is literally the exact opposite. It is a platform for people to get in. And as you said, Ed, it's an opportunity for people that have become huge advocates for, the Four Horsemen. And I've said this for a long time, is that Four Horsemen does something very well. Regardless of the product, they've done something beyond the product very well, which is engage their community and their consumer in a way that makes those feel like they're more than someone just buying a package. They are part of it. And to the point, there was individuals that have been buying those packages and supporting the Cabal community and the figures and the LegionsCon for years, that's names are now on the packages just for being a part of the community. So they have taken something and done something that I've never seen before in most areas beyond just toys, and made the purchaser part of it beyond just a consumer. And because of that, LegionsCon to me is an opportunity, whether you're a consumer, a vendor, manufacturer, idea, content creator, whatever, you're part of something, and they opened up, they just opened up the curtains and said, here, look, this is how we do it.
You look at companies that are say similar to Four Horsemen, right? So not a lot of them have been around as long as the Four Horsemen, but let's just take Fresh Monkey Fiction and Savage Crucible. Now they're growing, they're involving the fans in their shows and stuff like that, right? But they have yet to create that community that the Four Horsemen have built, where people just share, they become friends, they help, they support, right? even with Fresh Monkey Fiction and things like Savage Crucible, where nowadays we have a closer way to connect with the creators and stuff of these toy lines, they don't welcome you in as I've seen with the Four Horsemen, right? They're not like bringing you in for intern for a day where they're letting you see behind the scenes stuff and, you know, all these things that, now, like I said, Savage Crucible, Fresh Monkey Fiction, they're still young. So, I mean, they can get there, but
I think some of that has to do with the size and scale in which they are.
yeah, for sure.
Spiro, Savage, things like that. But obviously, like Four Horsemen they have a platform to do this, and they've been able to open it. But that's really what I'm trying to share. Is there's so much. You can go for just the 3D printed products. You can go for the dios. You can go for this, but you can go for so much more than just that. And like people talk about the friendships and things like that, but like it's a business opportunity for some people too. Like, you know, Terrence says it here, right? You can come as a stranger and leave with new friends. Obviously, like I went in with my wife and my son, so I didn't have the opportunity to sit down and talk to some of the people the way I would like to and hang out with as much. But next year, I definitely plan to be there all, you know, as many days as I can. I would love to go to G-Con. Heck, I might even put my name in for intern for a day because I think that would be freaking cool. Like to bring my son who doesn't know what he wants to do when he grows up, and you know, for him to see that stuff, I think it would be cool. So what I'm gonna say here in closing, right, is
Travis, I'll be right back.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna say is that LegionsCon is worth the hype. For me, it's absolutely. For any independent creator, independent toy person, somebody adjacent to it, whether you're creating a comic book or a book, a novel, a graphic novel, you know, an accessory. You know, Brian from Endless Fables creates those flags and does all his, you know, photography and things like that, right? Like, you know, if you're into that stuff, if you're creative, if you're, you know, enjoy others that enjoy it, LegionsCon is that. It's people with plastic passion and adjacent passion that don't shut you out and say, oh, no, you didn't do this, or you haven't done that, or you can't be a part of this. No, like, you're welcome. Like, you're welcome in any way. Like, and it was really cool to see. I'm actually just sad that I didn't go in 2023 and just set up my wares at my booth. And, you know, even if I didn't have anything to sell, because it would have been a great opportunity to meet and network with people. Unfortunately, sometimes we live with regret, and my regret is in 2023 I didn't take part in that. But I'll be back again next year. You know, one day was definitely enough to convince me if you're in this space, even more than just a casual fan, definitely check it out. If you're casual, you're going to become more than casual, I'm sure. But I'll definitely be going. Legions did announce that, you know, they've signed a contract for the next 3 years, 2026, 27, and 28. They've already provided the dates, 6/8, 5/7, and 10/12, that they'll be there. So I'm planning to go again and again and again. You know, I'm throwing my name in the hat to hopefully, you know, have a booth, a side booth, you know, something like that. You know, I don't care, whatever I got to do. I definitely want to be there. I want Hexastack to be there. I want to hang out with folks. I want to get to know folks. I want to help move the marker and move the needle for the things that I'm a part of. I want to help others move the needle for the things that they're a part of. And this is the place to do that, where the curtain is, you know, opened up and you can see how things are made. You can see how the sausage is made and interact with those that are involved in making the sausage, which is really cool. I know Ed had to step away. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the chat real quick. We've got a couple messages here. Yeah, I saw Robo and Dan Larson, you know, and they were walking around. I saw Big Nerdy from Nerdzoic. I didn't see him in no, maybe I did. I can't remember if I saw him on Sunday or not. I know that I saw photos of him. I can't remember if I saw him in person or not. I can't recall. You know, it's definitely, as Terrence said, it's becoming a must-see toy show from an in-art appreciation aspect. I think it's so much more beyond that. I think Four Horsemen do so many good things, right? Like, you know, beyond the product. They do so many good things, so much more than just the product, right? They have the LegionsCon event they're a part of. They welcome the community in to be more than just buyers, right? Like, they make them feel part of something more. And I say feel, I don't mean that in like a I don't like that. I don't mean that in like a fake way. I mean that in like they actually make you feel like you're a part of it because you are. And they do that through their LegionsCon event. They do it through GCon, right? Like they make you come in and be a part of it. Like, and then they do the intern for a day. By connecting those dots, they make this like a destination event to be a part of. I didn't get to take part in, you know, any of that stuff. I just went for the single day. But I can imagine just being there for Sunday at the tail end of everything when the you know, builders were, you know, half sold out and whatnot. You know, the opportunity to see what, you know, kind of hangover from all that was, seeing the posts and stuff as I was waiting to head down myself. There's definitely it's definitely an event, right? It's definitely an East Coast event, Northeast event, that I think a lot of folks would enjoy if they haven't been there. And I imagine it's only going to continue to scale and get bigger. I'm very interested. I know they signed a contract for 3 years. Obviously, these guys know what they're doing. I'm curious to see if they outgrow and if they sell out of day passes and sell out of that stuff, because I don't know what the capacity for the whole thing is, but I know they sell out of their 2-day passes in advance. And I know that I know they do the day of the show passes, but that place was packed this year, and I can only imagine with the extensions into things like that actor that's a part of the figure they announced at GCon this year, they're going to get more visibility across other things, and just more people are going to continue to come out to the show. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. Terrence, you're right? Like, if you come, you'll likely want to return. I have never heard someone say they don't want to go back. I've only ever heard people say they regret not being able to go or not be able to go again. And I imagine they will meet, you know, a ton of friends. Akxion Joe Figs, I didn't get him either. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have. I was there, but I didn't. I think they still had him when I was there. I'm not 100% sure, but if there's anybody out there, reach out to Akxion Joe Figs. Looks like he's trying to get his. Looks like he's trying to get Sir Enoch. You know, it won't be easy to create. It's the spirit of the founders being carried on by the fans. I think you're 100% right. I think it goes into the foundation of what they stand for and how they've been able to be digested within the community and establish the community for themselves. And I think it echoes between all the people that come in and kind of like know to keep that whole thing moving forward. Sounds like Connor had so much fun at Mythic Meetup. He told me flat out he wants to go to LegionsCon next year. Well, I look forward to seeing him and you there next year for sure, Oz. That'll be a good time for sure. Then we got Akxion Joe Figs. I'm appreciating Valverse a lot now. Ed has his product and pricing is very customer friendly. He's actually lowering his prices while others go up, and can appreciate that as a consumer and collector for sure. I've never had a bad Action Force figure. Action Force, Valverse, Lore figures, those things, they've all been good quality, and the price point is, considering smaller production runs, and he's still able to lower the prices is impressive. He's in the community and he's trying to enjoy those. So,
dude, I'm sorry, I might have to drop out again.
Oh, you're good.
I have a neighbor that lives a couple places down from me, and he's freaking out in my driveway right now. So I had to call the cops. So,
okay, man, no issues. I mean, we're wrapping up here, so
all right.
Before we end up being a live episode of Cops, we'll go ahead and close this up here.
Yeah. Start playing Bad Boys.
Oz, I actually have already reached out to them. I am on a waiting list, so hopefully, I'm able to have a table. If not, I will be reaching out to those that I know that have tables, and hopefully trying to take Terrence's advice as he reached out to me, and maybe set up a couple things, or maybe partner with them to have their figures on my stands, and whatnot. Either way, I'll be there in attendance as a attendee, if I'm not as a vendor, regardless. Just going through. Four Horsemen attend other shows. Yes, they do. They actually just announced their 2026 convention tour. If you go out to their Instagram, they posted it today or yesterday. I shared it earlier on in the weekly news, so you can take a look at that. Terrence says he predicts that they will adopt only 2-day pass system, no day of passes to control the crowds. I mean, that makes sense. It'll be interesting to see, but
a lot of the bigger shows have done that, so it wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then Oz saying, Joe M here, or however it's spelled, he's a big D&D fan and loved the new figure. He's getting a figure with Infinite Legions, and it was just the first. Yeah, I think that's going to draw more eyes on it. So I think, I think it'll be a good time. And everybody does their thing. I know they had a show a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. To each their own. It's not the way I play. So, I wish them the best. I love the product. The product's good. My interactions with Bobby were pleasant. I've never had a bad interaction with him personally. So I've got nothing bad to say about him directly. When I was at PowerCon, I had the chance to hang out with him and a few other folks like Laser Pants.
All right.
And
everybody have a good day. Everybody, thank you all for attending. I gotta go. I'll be. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Travis. I'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Take it easy, brother.
All right, later.
With Ed leaving, I'm going to wrap up here. Next week, not next week, 2 weeks from now, we'll be getting together for episode 67. It's going to be one we're going to focus on December 9th. We're going to kind of do a full end-of-year blowout episode. It's going to kind of be our 2025 favorites and our 2026 hype train. It's going to be where we look back at everything that made 2025 what it was, and we're going to look at what 2026 could be. We're going to go through, we're going to be breaking down our favorite releases. This could be and may include some WWE figures, some Mythic Legions, some Monster Force, Savage Crucible, AWOC, anything that we got in our hands this year. We'll talk about our personal top fives, anything that's a sleeper, and, something that maybe made the list. Then we're going to fire up the 2026 hype train. There's a lot of stuff coming. We'll start diving into that. And that may carry over to a follow-up show, but that's what we're going to be doing again. That's in 2 weeks on December 9th at 9:05. Hopefully my co-host won't be fighting with neighbors and losing his router connection and having somebody tweak out on the loss of Wi-Fi. That said, I don't know what Ed's got going on the next week, but I believe he'll be in the clubhouse on Saturday night with Oz, if that's all still planned. I think that's the plan. Other than that, I'm sure you can find him in the chats of people like A Punk with Toys, Random Diorama, and then in a couple weeks he'll be here with us on the ToyLeet network. So thanks, folks. I appreciate all of you. We are working towards that 500. So if you enjoy, do like, share, and subscribe. Again, we want organic growth. We love working with people. We like people that are engaged in the chat. And other than that, I think Oz said something about Thursday night and Saturday night. So, Friendsgiving on Thursday. Thank you. Yeah, so Friendsgiving over there on Thursday night. My apologies, Oz. I'll be busy, passed out with a turkey coma. But send me that link for Saturday because I definitely want to join you guys. It's been a minute. Look forward to connecting with folks and saying hello. But that's where I'll be, hopefully on Saturday night, while I continue to put together the studio down here. But other than that, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving from the ToyLeet. And as I always say, stay wonderful.
From Axis stacks to toys, yeah, we break through. Unbox the fire, showcase the find. Collectors worldwide, all one of a kind. ToyLeet, we set the pace. Elite with the heat in this plastic race. ToyLeet, not just a name, we're the culture, the vibe, the collecting flame. Click, snap, pose, it's more than display. We stack with style, redefining play. Custom builds, epic drops from stream to shelf, we never stop. ToyLeet, it's not just toys, it's legacy we stack. ToyLeet's the movement, and we're never looking back.